Podcast.
Welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast, the podcast that we bring you each and every week on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Head over to YouTube, smash that subscribe and bell notification button to receive all our latest content. And also, if you prefer audio versions, we're on Anchor and Spotify and Podbean and everywhere you pick up your podcasts. And today, this is your North London Derby preview. And joining me from the white side of London, representing the Spurs, Graham Cummins, an OG from the Monday Mashup. Graham, how you doing?
Oh, good now.
Good. Gonna bring the banter tonight, I tell you. And joining me, long-time friend of the show and the shop and personally, Morris, how we doing?
I'm doing great, Niall. How are you?
Good, not a bother at all. And also, don't forget to head over to YouTube and check out Morris's podcast, GP Productions Podcast. Really, really good. Has some great guests on there. So yeah, where do we start with this? Another North London derby rolls around. I suppose looking from the outside out or the outside in, I should say, and being the neutral. It's always a tale of defensive woes on both sides. Two real good midfields, I would say. Two very good attacking front lines. But again, defensive errors tend to cost both teams points and goals. I had a quick look at current form. Looking at the last 6 games, Arsenal 2 wins, 3 losses and a draw. Spurs with 4 wins and 2 losses. So it was kind of it's an interesting one. The sort of tide has changed slightly. And then I had a look at at the Emirates. It's a different story. It's Arsenal there with 2 wins and 4 draws. So it's been tough to break Arsenal down at the Emirates. Graham, go to you first. Obviously, you must be very enthused with Spurs back in form again. Bale looks like the Gareth Bale before he ever went to Real Madrid. And obviously making great strides there with Kane and Son and Moira and all. What you're thinking at the moment going into this big derby game?
Yeah, it's great stuff. Great to see. Some great attack and play from the lads. It's not like the past where I'd be kind of anxious and nervous about the derby, but going on previous matches against Arsenal, like I think we're unbeaten in the last 5, so we're going there with a bit of confidence, knowing that it'll just take a mistake, a silly penalty or a free kick that'll kill the game for us.
Yeah, I think you're probably facing into it. This is a big game. Obviously, Spurs are trying to push for a top 4 now. They're after putting a few good wins together there now and jumped up the table. Arsenal, again, have sort of, flattered to deceive. They've had a couple of good results and then stuttered a little bit. But again, they'd be chasing down, I suppose, a Europa spot at the moment. I don't think they'd be still in the top 4 for them. But yeah, it looks, from that point of view, this is a big 3 points. This feels like a 6-pointer, really. You know what I mean? If Spurs really have ambitions to get in top 4, they really need to go and get a win there. Likewise, if Arsenal want to keep in touch, they want to put Spurs away. Morris, what you're thinking at the moment with
Arsenal? Very inconsistent. They're shooting themselves in the foot an awful lot. A lot of the players that you'd expect to be in form, like Aubameyang and Lacazette, and that haven't really hit the heights this season. Especially, I'm surprised with Aubameyang, but there is a lack of creativity there for sure. And I don't think it's anything to do with Ozil. I think it changed a lot when Smith Rowe came into the team. Even he's very young though, so it's a lot of pressure to put on a guy his age. So I think up front they'll be fine, but I'd be very worried about the likes of, the individual errors that have cost a lot of goals lately. You've seen Cedric do it, seen Xhaka do a terrible one last week. Ceballos is doing it. The goalkeeper is shaky at best. But you could say the same even on Tottenham side of things. You could say if Serge Aurier plays, he could be targeted by Saka. You'd say even Lloris, I don't think he's as convincing as he was 3 or 4 years ago, lads.
No, not at all. I mean, Lloris is one of those guys that can just have what we call a moment of madness. Or, palm a ball into a net or something like that. I'd be concerned as well with the likes of Eric Dyer there as well. He's just,
bit of a hothead.
Yeah, a bit of a hothead, but also, again, not dissimilar to David Luiz, just has that potential moment of madness in him that cost a team a game or cost a team 2 points or something like that. I looked at it, it confirms kind of what we talk about in defences. If you look at the last 6 games, I think there's only been, or the last 8 games I think I looked at, there was only 1 clean sheet each. So defensively is really where this game is at. Again, I looked at the top scorers in it from the current crop and stuff like that, and I was shocked to see Aubameyang so far down the list in terms of goals scored in North London derbies. And Kane, of course, is leading the way with 11, so he's banging form at the moment. And I think the link-up play over the last couple of weeks with him and Gareth Bale has just been, they've just found this connection again. And it's incredible, I looked at a bit of news there during the week. Dele Alli came out and he was saying that the real derby for him and the real rivals now is Chelsea. It's not Arsenal. And I was kind of thinking, your goal mate should be to try and get on the pitch, not be talking about what's a derby and what isn't, Arteta expressed concerns, Morris, and we spoke about it earlier before the game, how you guys were pushed to the away leg and having to travel. I think both teams were drawn at home, but obviously you can't play both teams at home for safety reasons.
Same night,
Same city.
So it was interesting that it was Arsenal that was pushed out to do the travel, and not Spurs. And Arteta expressed this as a concern in terms of travelling. My biggest concern we're hearing that is you're sort of nearly setting up lads with an excuse before it happens, and you'd be better off not even talking about it.
That's exactly what I thought. But Jose, who I wouldn't normally agree with, came out and said that they were in the opposite situation in the last leg. So I don't think he's doing himself any favours kind of by digging up stuff like that. And he is, as you say, and I was thinking about it earlier as well, making an excuse before the game, which is a very bad sign going into it.
Yeah, well, you look at the form of Spurs at the moment as well, and we're starting to get little glimpses of Mourinho coming back to that kind of special one again. I loved the press conference there the other day when the reporter Graham said to him, "You're after scoring 100 goals now," and he says, "Yeah, not bad for a defensive side." And he was just having a dig at the media. And when you see Jose when he's on form like that, he's the last guy you want to try and play mind games with because he'll just wipe you out,
Yeah.
Where do we see? I mean, we've obviously spoken about both goalkeepers and both defences. The midfield for me is going to be a fantastic battle. I mean, you've Partey in there, and, you've Højbjerg and Saka and Pepe and all these players like that. That's going to be a real good battle in there in the midfield in terms of trying to supply the guys up front. Morris, how do you see that faring now? I mean, Partey's a bit of a baller, isn't he?
He is, but he's still. He didn't really have any injuries at Atletico, but since he's came to Arsenal, he got one bad one, and he just seems to be niggling. He seems to be only lasting 50, 60 minutes every game, which is concerning. Because if you pull him out, then you're left with Granit Xhaka, and I don't rate him, obviously. But if you pull Partey out, then you've got Xhaka, Ceballos, or El Neni. And straight away then, there's probably 17, 18 teams in the league that have a better midfield than those two. So I think Partey's going to be very important in the game.
Yeah. Is it a case that you would start him, or is it a case that you would bring him on?
Oh no, I definitely start. They need to win this game. Yeah. They're way down. They're 10th in the league. Yeah. For a team like Arsenal, I think it's unacceptable anyway.
Oh yeah, 100%. Arsenal, not dissimilar to my own Liverpool at the moment either. I mean, Arsenal should consistently be up around the top 4 team or there.
They're 5 points behind Liverpool with a game in hand. That's crazy.
Yeah.
If you would have said that to me at the start of the season, I would have thought Arsenal would have been second.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, we've had our own problems, hopefully that'll go away, Graham, how do you see Spurs setting up for this? Are they gonna is it Mourinho gonna be a tactical battle with Arteta, or do you think Mourinho's gonna go for it?
Yeah, I think we will go for it, but just looking at the match there now, he didn't start with a strong side that would start league games, but he did bring them on during the second half there. But I think Ndombele, who has been one of our main midfielders every week. I think he's carrying a little injury, but I think he might be out of the game on Sunday, but I never know. But he's kind of the ones who's always in the midfield with Højbjerg or either, Harry Winks sometimes. But yeah, it's been an interesting one. I know that Daddy Ali wants to prove himself, but he's just after getting taken off there, so I don't think he'll get his game on Sunday.
It's another one of those games really where a draw does nothing for either team.
Yeah.
A draw will nearly feel like a loss, really, that kind of way. So it should be a game where, both managers should set up with good attacking formations and players, and they should really have a go for it. If it ends up being a 4-3 or whatever it is to either team, you know what I mean? It's at least you've had a go, as opposed to sort of tactically trying to see it out or something like that. You know what I mean? I just don't see a draw being of any use to either team at this stage of the season with 9-10 games to go. You know what I mean? You're going to need a hell of a lot more than that. Where else do we go with this? I mean, it's at the Emirates, so you would assume that the onus is on Arsenal to come out and do the business. They're the home team. How do you feel, Boris? Like Arteta versus Jose? How do you see that sort of?
As in terms of the match, or in terms of how they're doing the job?
Yeah, but just in general, both in terms of how they're doing the job and in terms of the match.
Well, I think Jose at the moment is doing a better job, but on the flip side of it, Arteta's won a trophy. Like, I think Jose needs to deliver that League Cup, I think, this year, at least for Tottenham. If he gets that monkey off their back, then maybe they can push on a bit more. But I do think on Tottenham as well, I think if Harry Kane is out of the team, I don't think they're anything. Yeah. I think it's all about Kane, and that'd be worrying.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've seen it there when Tottenham had that dip when Kane was out injured. It's interesting that for a team like Tottenham with a lot of very good players, they still rely heavily on that man in terms of goals.
Yeah. In fairness to Jose though as well this year, like he's improved Kane's game from an all-round perspective. He's getting a lot of assists. He's coming back. He's defending. He's pinging long balls. So from that perspective, you can see that Mourinho is working with him just to expand his game as well, which is a testament to him, because up until a few years ago, everyone said, Kane, tap-ins and penalties, that's it. But his game's completely changed this year, and that's a credit to the manager.
Yeah, his assists have improved greatly as well. But I think with Jose Mourinho, work rate is a huge thing for him. He's not going to let you you're not just going to be there to hang around, I mean, you're going to have to go and book your socks off for Jose Mourinho. He just doesn't tolerate you, So I suppose let's get on to predictions. Talk to me about scores and goal scorers. Graham, we'll start with you. What are you thinking on Sunday? 4:30, Super Sunday. Give me a score and scorers.
It's one of them matches where you think you're gonna win, but something happens and it just changes the game completely. Like I said, going on previous matches against Arsenal, we have been okay, winning like 2-1s and 2-0s. But I think it'd be another tight game. It'd be down to one of them matches where it just takes a mistake. If someone's not on their form, they're gonna pounce you.
But you must be confident as a Spurs fan. I mean, you're scoring goals for fun. You know what I mean? Kane's on form, Bale's on form. Son's a little bit off form, but he always has the ability to come back pretty quick. Moira's back in there. Hallberg is playing fantastic in the midfield. Surely you must be going into this one. You must be thinking this is a stamped-on win if the boys show up.
Yeah, it is confidence the way the Kane and Bale have been playing. Like you said at the start, it's like both sides have great attackers, but it's just down to their defence. Like if we're up 2-0 and then Arsenal come back into a 2-2 from a mistake from Aurier or Sanchez, give away a silly penalty or something, Arsenal straight back into it. Like, you know, and we didn't kill the game off. But yeah, I'd say another tight game, maybe a 2-1 Spurs.
2-1 Spurs. Who gets the winner?
Has to be Kane, doesn't it? You have to get a penalty for once. We haven't got a penalty in weeks. Seeing United every week, you know, getting penalties. Give us one for once.
You make it sound like they're already planned and they're just divvied out or something, you know. Boris, jump in here. Make a case for the Gunners. Come on.
I would like to see them win, but I think it might be a draw. I think it might be 2-2. That's what I'm thinking. Kane, Son, Saka, Aubameyang.
There's a collection. I tell you, for me, that would be a great game. You know what I mean? I'd look for the neutral. That's going to be a great game.
But I hope I'm wrong and they win, obviously. But it's too up and down at the moment. But it'll be interesting to see, because I think it's Europa League or bust for Arsenal this season now, because they're way off the league. And if you look back, and then Wenger left after being in fifth, Emery left after being in fifth. He put all the eggs in the Europa League basket. They got hammered by Chelsea. So if they finish, say, 10th and don't win the Europa League, which they probably are not going to, let's be honest, where does that leave Arteta then? You know, because there's a big difference between finishing 10th and finishing 5th.
Yeah. Well, what it does probably do is, I suppose, it leaves them with an opportunity to be out of Europe for a season and an opportunity to rebuild and, you know, maybe flood a few more youngsters and stuff like that and all that kind of thing, which may or may not be a bad thing. You know what I mean? So,
I'd welcome being out of the Europa League for a year. I think it's absolutely, it's the matches are no good.
The Thursday, Monday combo is horrible. It's just catch up all the time. It's not good. I think there's going to be a lot of goals in this game. You know, I'm thinking. I'm going back to an old Newcastle Liverpool way. I'm thinking 4-3, but I can't figure out who's going to get that 4. It could be either of you, really. But I think looking at the defences, I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to be a lot of goals. You know, I know when Spurs have clicked in the season, they've really put a lot of goals away. And I know Arsenal will always have goals in them if the boys rock up. And of course, form goes out the window when it's a North London derby anyway. So yeah, I'm thinking like a 4-3, but I can't decide Spurs or Arsenal, but I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I hope there's a winner in it anyway, because I think the league, they really need to start accumulating the points up, so I hope there'll be a winner. But yeah, so I suppose that's it. There's not much more we can say, really, is there? It's thanks for coming on, boys, and
no problem at all.
Giving us a quick Northern Derby preview. I mean, it remains to be seen what's going to happen. It's definitely a tale of the front lines and the midfields. The defence may just batten down the hatches and get ready, really. So for myself, Niall Hogan, and for Morris from GP Productions Podcast, and from Graham, who's come on as a Spurs fan, thanks for coming on again, boys. Again, catch us over on YouTube, on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Hit subscribe and smash that bell notification button. You'll also get us on Podbean, Spotify, Anchor, and all those other places. So again, thanks again for tuning in, and thanks again, boys.
No worries.
Cheers, Niall.